Join me, Rory Smith, for the premiere of my brand new programme, Destination Insight, right here in Newry, Northern Ireland. This week we'll be taking on fostering, and we meet Angela Burns, daughter of Foster Care of the Year 2013. Plus, you do not want to miss, we meet the woman from Dromore who has raised more than 50 children in just 20 years. Not to be missed, this Friday, 7 p.m. on Destination Insight. Hello, a very good evening to you and welcome to the very first Destination Insight right here in the heart of Newry, County Down, Northern Ireland with me, Rory Smith. This evening we will be taking on the topic of fostering, and we will be meeting Margaret McCarriger from Dromore near Banbridge, who has raised more than 50 children in just 20 years. Yes, 50 children in just 20 years. A remarkable story that you just can't miss. Plus, we will be meeting Kathleen Toner. Kathleen Toner is the Deputy Director of the Fostering Network in Northern Ireland, and she'll be here to tell us how you can get involved in fostering a child. Plus, we meet Angela Burns from Annaclone near Banbridge, who has been brought up as a foster child and is also the daughter of Foster Care of the Year 2013. And we will be revealing some of the most iconic figures in history that have been brought up in foster care. So we have an incredible premiere show for you this evening, and this show is for you. It is for you and about you. So I want you to get in touch with me with anything that you wish to be discussed on this show or future shows, and leave your comments as well. And there are plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Take a look at this. Your voice to be heard on the show, and there are plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Check out our website, destinationnewry.com, comment on our Facebook page, Destination Newry, or send us a tweet to @DesNewry. You can also write to me directly on my email, rory@destinationnewry.com, message me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/official Rory Smith, or send me a tweet to @RoryESmith. I'll be reading each and every email, Facebook comment and tweet sent in to us. This is your show and we want you to be a part of it, so do get in touch with us. But first, when Angela Burns was just 11, she was fostered by her foster carers Josephine and Sean McClelland from Annaclone near Banbridge. And last year, Angela nominated Josephine to win the Foster Care of the Year 2013. And Angela joins us now to talk about her inspirational experience being brought up as a foster child in Northern Ireland. And you're very welcome to the programme, Angela. So Angela, first of all, you were 11 whenever you were fostered by Josephine and Sean. Thinking back to your first experiences of fostering, how was that for you?
Well, whenever I think back to my first experiences, it goes back years, because I was always, just brought up in foster care. But I've known Josephine since I was so young, and me and her, we've always sort of clicked. I never thought I would be living with her though, so whenever I found out, I was going to live with Josephine, I just remember being so excited and I was going to move with my sister as well, so I was just so excited. So I think that there was a really good memory.
Do you think that it helped that you'd known Josephine beforehand?
Definitely, yeah, because I would be, whenever I was 11, I was quite shy. I didn't really take to random people, so knowing Josephine and knowing she was a lovely, nice person, it just made me a lot more comfortable, moving up with her, and I just felt that, comfort in me.
And whenever you went into Josephine's family, obviously you were very comfortable with Josephine, knowing her beforehand, but Josephine had other biological children within that family unit.
Yeah.
How did you feel going into a family as a foster child that was already a family unit?
See, at the start you'd be thinking, will I fit in, and I thought I would have felt really out of place, but see, once I got in there, they just made you feel like, you know, you're one of us now. Like, there's no difference. There's not you and us. It's just us. So I think that made me feel a whole lot better. You know, that I wasn't just some foster kid from off the street. I was part of a family, like.
And even the biological children treated you like that as well, not just Josephine.
Yeah, they would say I'm their sisters, and they have kids too, and their kids would say I'm their big sister, and I would say they're my nieces and nephews, and you know, they're just like definitely would really click with them, like.
So it's one big family and you're a part of it.
Yeah.
Within that family unit then, your biological sister lived with you also. But when she was 18, she left under the care of Josephine. Whenever she left the family, did you feel a sense of loss with her leaving?
Not really, because she was only down the road, and with Josephine's family, once you're family, you're always family. So I just knew, like, you know, I still get to see my sister all the time, and like, she's just always involved in still family things. She's always been invited, and you know, she's still just as part of the family as she always was.
It's never ending then.
Never ending.
With Josephine then, your foster care, your relationship has grown since you were 11 and since your first time moving in under Josephine's care. And your relationship has built with Josephine and developed over the years. How would you describe your relationship now with Josephine?
It's absolutely brilliant. Like, I am not one of them people to be like, oh, mummy, daddy, but definitely she's the closest thing to me, like a mum, and she's actually like an older friend. You know, she's just always there. She's brilliant, like absolutely brilliant. And yeah.
What has she done for you to teach you about life?
Everything. Whenever I first came up to her, I was like really shy and into myself. But then, you know, she got me involved in different things, and, you know, she built up my confidence again. You're just sitting there and you just felt, you know, you're like, oh, this is a different family, you know, and Josephine just comes along and is like, no, you shouldn't be treated any differently just because of your past. Like, and she just focuses on your future.
And growing up as a foster child is very rewarding. Within that family unit, what have you found to be the benefits of growing up as a foster child?
Growing up as a foster child, I hate, you know, thinking, oh, like, you know, I'm just some foster child. So I think the benefits is that you just get treated like a normal person. There's no, you know, oh, you're different in any way. The benefits are that you're in a loving home and you're just being treated as anybody else, and there shouldn't be a difference.
So you don't see it any different as anybody else growing up with a biological family?
Definitely not. It depends, like, it's just to do with the family that you go into. And most families out there are just brilliant. I know what other foster children, and they're so happy with their families. They just fit in, and you're never out saying, oh, I'm in foster care. You're just like, oh, I'm going home to my house with my family.
So the label foster child isn't really used that often then?
No, and to some people who do, they don't really understand. You know, they think, some people think, oh, foster children, you need to be really sensitive and stuff, but you just need to treat them like a normal person.
Do you find that whenever you're out and about, that whenever people find out that you're a foster child, do you think that people do act more cautious around you?
There was actually one time I was out, and I think had an appointment somewhere, and she was treating me fine. This was a few years ago. She was treating me fine, and then she turned to Josephine and she says, and here are you, and Josephine goes, I'm her guardian. And then she started acting like I was a wee child then, and I was sort of sitting there going, you know, you were talking to me fine 2 minutes ago, and now you may as well be handing me a lollipop.
Yeah, and you don't like that sort of treatment.
No.
So whenever you say to someone, that they somehow find out that you are under the foster care of Josephine, what would you say to anyone that maybe would take more caution towards you?
Tell them to treat you like a normal person, because it's the worst thing you can do to be, oh, they're really sensitive, is treat them like, oh, they're really sensitive. You just need to treat them like you would anybody else. There's no difference. You just have a different past and a different upbringing. Doesn't mean that you're an alien.
There's no difference.
There's no difference.
Fostering has enabled you to do so many great things with your life and to turn into the amazing young lady that you are. And what I love about your story is that you've never once played the victim in all of this. You've came out as a hero on top of everything. And for example, whenever you were in college, you fell short of a few grades getting into the college of your choice. But then you took the initiative of getting involved in youth actions and did your exams and got into the college of your choice. Tell me about that.
See, I knew school, I'm not a very academic person, so I just struggle with, concentration. But I don't want that to hold me back. I want to, go on and do something with my life. And I knew doing my GCSEs and stuff, I just wasn't getting it. I just knew I wasn't. And then I seen a programme that got you to do, equivalents to a GCSE, and it was all through the summer, and I just thought, yeah, why not? Go for it, because I didn't want to, have to repeat any years. I don't want to hold back. I want to just keep going, so. You
want the motivation to succeed.
Yeah.
And what is it exactly that you want to succeed in?
Well, I want to succeed and become a youth worker, and put performing arts into it now. I'm studying performing arts at the minute, and I would love to become a youth worker and mix that in with performing arts, and then go around to all different children and teenagers and just show them, a little bit about it.
Do you think that your story could help you in achieving that?
I think, with me, I think you can either do two things. You can either look back and stay back and just, go down the wrong road, or you can turn all the bad things and make them into something good, and then put that into being so, forward and getting what you want, because you just can't stop and say, oh, look at me, my life's horrible. You need to say, look, I want to do something with my life, and put everything behind me and just make it motivate you to do something with your life.
Do you think that learning from negative past mistakes, learning from them and doing good from them is the key?
Definitely.
And which is what you've done?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
What you're going to do?
Yeah.
And also, on top of that then, you were on the council on Moran Youth Forum, and you attended camps last year in Kent with the Olympics, and you represented Northern Ireland. Tell me about that.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. It was during, it was all Olympic themed, and we went over to Kent, and 240 people from all around the world came, and I was sharing the house with South Koreans, English, Finnish, and just us being from Northern Ireland, and it was the best experience of my life, just getting to know so many different cultures and so many different people. It was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
How has that developed you as a person?
I say it makes you give people more of a chance. You don't judge anybody before you see them, you want to get to know them.
And from that then, you have also been on the council on the Moran Youth Forum, and you attended camps last year in Kent with the Olympics, and you represented Northern Ireland. Tell me about that experience.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. I was there with 240 people from all around the world, and I shared a house with South Koreans, Finnish, English and us Northern Ireland ones, and it was all Olympic themed, and we would have went to London and done all different things, but it was just a brilliant experience. It was absolutely amazing. You got to know so many different cultures and people, and definitely something.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
So going on then to the foster care, your foster care Josephine last year, you nominated Josephine for Foster Care of the Year. What was it about Josephine that made you nominate?
See, what I think is there's people out there that can say, oh, I'm a mum, but it takes much more than giving birth than to be a mum. And the things Josephine has done for me throughout these near 7 years now has been amazing. She's just always been there, and I just wanted, some way to get her noticed and say, look, this woman's amazing. Like, she would go to the end of the earth for anybody. And just the fact that I've got the, experience of coming and being part of her family is amazing. And she's definitely, more of a mum to me than anything.
And actually you said in an article, and I'll just read this out, Josephine and Sean have always made me feel like a part of their family, especially when I felt alone or worthless. Now I feel like someone again. They have given me the hope and confidence I need to develop into a happy young woman. What difference has Josephine and Sean made in your life?
Well, before I came to Josephine and Sean, I didn't feel good about myself. I was just so into myself, and I just didn't think I was getting anywhere. Then coming to Josephine and Sean, they give you that bit of hope again to say, don't give up, you can keep trying and you'll get somewhere with your life. And they actually gave you the support you needed. They didn't just leave you there and be like, right, okay, you go do that there. They sit down and help you. And it took a while, but my confidence have came back some serious. And I couldn't be more happier.
And it's not just Josephine and Sean, it's all foster parents that we're talking about.
Yeah,
all foster carers.
Parents. I don't think foster parents get the recognition.
Yeah.
I don't think they get as much as that as they should, because it takes somebody special and with a good heart to take another child into their family and make them part of their family. That's a big thing to do.
So for anyone watching that's saying to themselves, well, we're looking at Angela and she's such a fantastic young lady that has done and continues to do so much incredible things with her life, what would your message be to any foster parents that are thinking about fostering a child?
Go for it. It makes such a difference to somebody's life, and you don't want nothing in return. It's just that sense of achievement to see somebody grow up and become a person in front of your eyes, just changing somebody's life. It's the best experience you'll ever get, and it's the best experience for the child as well.
Best experience. So Angela, thank you very much for coming in today to talk with us, and you've truly inspired a lot of people into fostering by and through your story. So thank you very much.
No bother.
Thank you. And coming up very shortly, we will be speaking to the woman from Dromore who has raised more than 50 children in just 20 years. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Coming up, we will be revealing the most iconic figures in the world who were raised as foster children. But first, Kathleen Toner, Deputy Director of the Fostering Network in Northern Ireland, joins us now to explain the process of fostering, the issues surrounding the lack of fostering parents in Northern Ireland, and how you can get involved in becoming a foster parent. And Kathleen, you're very welcome to the show. So Kathleen, you are the Deputy Director of the Fostering Network in Northern Ireland. Can you just explain to me what exactly is the Fostering Network?
The Fostering Network is an independent charity. We are a membership organisation for every foster carer who's registered in Northern Ireland. So we have approximately 2,000 members across all the trusts. So in this area, in the Southern Trust area, we have all approved foster carers would be our members, and they can avail of advice, information. We have a project called Fostering Achievement that provides educational resources to children who are in foster care, and so we allocate about £700,000 to children every year. So Fostering Network is, I suppose, the voice of foster carers in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, and something that a lot of people get confused about is that link between fostering and adoption. What is the difference between fostering and adoption?
Well, fostering can be short-term, medium-term, long-term or emergency respite provision for children who come into care where basically they can't, for a number of reasons, stay with their birth parent or birth parents, and so they are cared for by foster carers. Adoption is where people decide that they want to have a child that they have parental responsibility for, and once the child is adopted, to all intents and purposes that child is theirs and they are ultimately responsible for them. Within foster care there are a whole range of options. Not every child is suitable for adoption for a whole range of reasons. Sometimes children it's better for the child to have significant contact with their birth family, and shorter term solutions are more beneficial. Sometimes children only come into care for a short period of time, and they may just need to have 3 months perhaps in foster care, perhaps while issues at home get resolved or sorted out, and then they might go home to their birth parent. Ultimately, all children want to be with their birth parents. For some children where that's simply not possible, adoption may be an option, but it's not an option for every single child. So fostering is a solution that is very flexible, that provides care for a whole range of children, a whole range of situations.
So which one do you find most popular within Northern Ireland? Would it be the adoption or would it be fostering?
There are not as many children available to adopt as there used to be in years gone past. I suppose in Northern Ireland we have almost 3,000 children who are what we call looked after, so who come into the care of the state effectively, where the state is known as the corporate parent, and the parental responsibility rests with statutory agencies and with social services in particular. Where a child, it's assessed that it's in the child's best interests to be adopted, that child will go forward for adoption, but those are not always in the majority of cases. So what you will find is that approximately 2,100 of those children, approximately 75% of them, are looked after in foster care or by foster carers, and that's an increasing percentage. So within Northern Ireland, children who come into care, it would tend to be foster carers who would be looking after them.
And for someone sitting at home at the moment, and they may be thinking to themselves, well, I would love to foster, but they believe that there are factors that could limit their chance of fostering, such as they may be single, or they may not own their own home, or they may be gay. Are there limitations as to the type of person that could foster?
I think sometimes the limitations are in people's own minds. Sometimes we find that people rule themselves out without knowing, what are actually the limitations. In fact, it is not the case that you can't adopt or can't foster if you're single. You can, married, divorced, gay, in a single-sex relationship. That is not a barrier to fostering. And I think once people actually think about it, then perhaps if they, would even go onto our website at Fostering Network, or, couldYouFoster.com is another really useful website, or even talk to someone in their local social services fostering team, just get a bit of additional information. It doesn't suit everybody. I mean, ultimately, if you want to look after children, if you like children, if you enjoy their company, if you think you have a bit of time and the space and the emotional energy, and also if you have a good sense of humour, that helps as well. But there are not the barriers in place that people sometimes imagine that there might be.
Mm-hmm. And something that might put people off as well is the idea, or the perception rather, that to apply to become a foster parent is a long process, that there's lots of forms to fill in, lots of interviews, lots of telephone phone calls beforehand.
Yeah, sure.
Is that true, that it is a long process?
Well, there is a certain amount of, you have to obviously go through an application form, you have to have a certain amount of vetting and checks. And I suppose when we think that these children are amongst the most vulnerable children in our society, who have had quite often very difficult starts in life, and the responsibility is on the corporate parent to ensure that those children are safe and that there's a good match for them. So yes, there is a degree of assessment. There's quite a bit of information that needs to be considered and thought through. And actually, it's a bit like going for an interview for a job. Sometimes people think, that it's just a one-way process, but going through the assessment process, sometimes people find out more information and they rule themselves out for whatever reason, maybe just temporarily, maybe it's not a good time in their lives, or maybe they're in transition themselves. So it is an opportunity to explore where it's the right thing for you,
and
as an individual or a family.
There is time to explore
Absolutely.
that with the people. So as a foster carer then, what is required that you look for within a foster carer?
I think there are as many different types of foster care as there are children, and actually that's a really positive thing. We would like to increase the pool of foster carers available to try and get a good match for every child. So some children stay, as I said earlier, with their foster parents all their childhood. They maybe come into foster care at 1 or 2 and they may stay there until they're an adult. Sometimes, as I think you'll find out later on when you speak to our foster care of the year, sometimes that child is adopted within that family. It's not always the case. But I think within that context, what you find is that, sometimes people who are on their own, perhaps you're a single carer, and foster one child, can give a lot of time to perhaps a child where it's not appropriate for them to be in a family setting. Some children, it's very helpful to their development and to help them get over some of the trauma that they've experienced, to be in a busy family context, maybe where there's 2 or 3 other children. For some children, it's not appropriate to be with other children their same age because of their developmental issues. So there's a whole range of different types of people. I mean, I suppose if you're looking at general principles, people who are caring, who have a bit of, I suppose, energy, who like children. It really helps if you like children, but who want to give something to a child and who feel that they can do that. Those are the general kind of principles that we're really looking for, but we don't have a here is the perfect foster carer.
Yeah, you don't have a criteria that would
there's not a perfect person that this is the only type of person we will accept. There are a whole range of different kinds of people, different kinds of family settings that are appropriate for children to be looked
So it does
after.
a lot. It does a lot for the foster carer. But what does fostering mean to a foster child?
Well, it's an opportunity for a child to get some stability. One of the things that children crave quite often is a sense of just being at home, being with people who care for them, having a sense of being safe and sound, in a sense. And that's what almost all humans crave. So children who come into care are no different from that. There's a sense of that this is where they belong. And I suppose for some children it may only be a temporary solution. But again, that whole sense of safety and security and stability is a very important one.
So fostering in Northern Ireland, it has been said, I read in an article the other day, that there are over 8,000 carers needed in the UK alone. How bad is the crisis currently in Northern Ireland?
Well, I'm not sure we would call it a crisis, but certainly the number of children coming into care is increasing all the time, and there doesn't seem to be any downward trend in that. I think that is the current situation, that continues to increase. As far as possible, social services will look for a child to be minded within their broader family context if that's possible, but where it's not, at the minute we need 200 additional carers every year in Northern Ireland, which is 4 approximately per week to stay still, just to keep up with demand. If there's for any reason a sudden peak or a continuing increase, then that obviously rises. So that's to ensure that we have people who can provide care for children with disabilities, for children in sibling groups, for young people who are adults, a whole range of provisions. So 4 per week is what we need here.
4 per week. So for someone sitting at home at the moment and they're saying, this is all well and good, that I would love to foster a child, what is the first step that they need to make into the process of fostering a child?
Well, the very simple first thing they could do is just ring our office. So that's 028 90 70 5056.
Okay. I'll put full details for you as well on the website.
That'd be great. But if they do that, then we can signpost them to, there's a regional adoption and fostering service, we can signpost them to a whole range of fostering providers within Northern Ireland. We can send out an information pack to them, give them just general advice and guidance as to what the next step might be. So, there's nothing too complicated initially, just a simple phone call, and we will give you the information you need to take the next step.
Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in today. And if you would like more information about fostering, please get in contact with myself and I will guide you to the fostering network in Northern Ireland, where you will receive support into fostering your very first foster child. Coming up soon, we will be speaking to Margaret McCarriger from Dermore near Banbridge, who has raised more than 50 children in just 20 years. I'll see you in a moment. Welcome back to the programme. It's nice to have you along with us this evening. Very soon we will be revealing the most iconic people in the world who you never knew were raised as foster children. But first, if you want to get in contact with us with anything on today's show or future shows, there are plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Take a look at this. We want your voice to be heard on the show, and there are plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Check out our website, DestinationNewry.com, comment on our Facebook page, Destination Newry, or send us a tweet to @DestNewry. You can also write to me directly on my email, rory@destinationnewry.com, message me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/official Rory Smith, or send me a tweet to @RoryESmith. I'll be reading each and every email, Facebook comment and tweet sent into us. This is your show and we want you to be a part of it, so do get in touch with us. In March 2013, there were almost 3,000 children in foster care in Northern Ireland. But fostering is more popular than you could ever imagine. because some of the most iconic and famous people in the world were brought up as foster children. Take a look at this. Hollywood's original bad boy, James Dean, was born in 1931 in Marion, Indiana. When he was just 7 years old, his mother was struck down with acute stomach pains and began to lose weight rapidly. When Dean was just 9, his mother died of uterine cancer. His father, no longer able to care for him, sent him to live on a farm in Fairmont, Indiana, where his aunt and uncle raised him as a foster child. He went on to become one of Hollywood's biggest names, winning a Golden Globe in 1957, 1 year following his death. Nobel Peace Prize winner Nelson Mandela was born in 1918. When he was just 9 years old, his father died of an unknown illness, which Mandela believed to be lung disease. Following his father's death, his mother took him to be fostered by the chief of his tribe. Although he didn't see his mother for many years later, Nelson went on to become the President of South Africa, receiving more than 260 honours in his lifetime. John Lennon was a member of the hugely successful band The Beatles. When Lennon was just 4, his Aunt Mimi twice complained to social services about his mother. Following the calls, his Aunt Mimi and Uncle George fostered Lennon into their family. He went on to become one of the most influential and successful figures in popular music, taking in an astonishing 21 #1 singles in his career. Marilyn Monroe is one of the most iconic figures in the world. Born Norma Jean, Marilyn was sent into foster care as a baby when her mother became mentally unstable. Marilyn went under the care of her mother's best friend Grace, and at just 9, her foster carer Grace married, putting Marilyn into the Los Angeles Orphans Home. In 1937, Marilyn moved back in with her mother's friend Grace and her husband, but following his frequent attempts to sexually assault her, the arrangement came to an end. Marilyn was then sent to live with her Aunt Anna, but as Anna aged, she developed serious health problems. And in 1942, Marilyn moved back with Grace and her husband. Several months later, Grace relocated to West Virginia, leaving Marilyn behind. Before leaving for Virginia, Grace asked the parents of Marilyn's boyfriend if he could marry Marilyn so she would not have to return to foster care. She married Jim Dougherty in 1942, which ended her life in foster care. Marilyn went on to become Hollywood royalty and one of the most iconic figures in world history. Wow, didn't know half them people were brought up in foster care, and it just goes to show you as well that children in foster care really do go on to do incredible things with their lives. Now, the show is certainly getting you talking around the country this evening, and if you want to get in contact with us, there are plenty of ways to do so. Here's how. We want your voice to be heard on the show, and there are plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Check out our website, DestinationNewry.com, comment on our Facebook page, Destination Newry, or send us a tweet to @DestNewry. You can also write to me directly on my email, rory@destinationnewry.com, message me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/official Rory Smith, or send me a tweet to @RoryESmith. I'll be reading each and every email, Facebook comment and tweet sent in to us. This is your show and we want you to be a part of it, so do get in touch with us. After the break, we will be meeting the woman from Dromore who has raised more than 50 children in just 20 years. See you in a moment. Margaret McCarriger from Dromore near Brambridge won the very prestigious award for Foster Care of the Year 2014. And it comes at no surprise as Margaret has raised more than 50 children in just 20 years. And Margaret joins us now to talk about her incredible and inspirational devotion to fostering over 50 children. You're very welcome to the programme, Margaret.
Thank you.
So Margaret, over 50 children in 20 years, obviously an incredible achievement. Was this something that you've always set out to do from the very start, whenever you got married? Was it in your mindset to say, fostering is something that I want to do?
No, it was really after my youngest child was ready for preschool. Sort of thought to myself, gosh, what am I going to do? Because he was the 8th child, and I was used to having children around me all the time. What will I do here? And I just by chance happened to watch a television programme. It was an English programme about fostering. It was a lady who had fostered a lot of children, and I thought to myself, well, now I've got the time and the room, so I'll make a few inquiries, see how I get on, and see if this would be for me. So I got on the phone the next morning, got some information, and luckily enough there was an assessment starting in Belfast. Someone had dropped out of their place, and they offered me that place to go ahead and start the assessment. Went through the whole assessment and thought, well, you know, I'll give it a go. I don't know whether I'll be able to foster long term or short term, but I'll maybe try respite and see if it's for me. But the first child that came to me ended up staying long term and is still with me at the moment. So it all took off from there, and I haven't looked back since. I just love it, and I love the bustle, the happy house and the noise and everything that goes with it.
So you've said there that this was after 8 biological
That's
children
right, yeah.
that you said that you want to foster. Surely by that time your hands were full with 8 children in the house.
No, I really do enjoy children's company, and I really do love getting down and busy with them and playing with them, and could not be without a lot of children in the house, you know.
And this is you, but then what about husband Sean?
He just follows in suit. He just does what he's told and helps
put up
out
with
as
it.
much as he can. Yes, he enjoys children as well.
So he enjoys it equally as much as
He
you.
enjoys it equally as much as me, yeah.
So then you've got the 8 biological children in the house, and you're bringing in all these foster children. How does your biological children react to the fostering children being brought in?
Well, I really started with young babies. My own children growing up, the oldest one, there was babies, my own babies coming along all the time, and each one was used to looking after the other. So when I started bringing in the newborn babies, which was mostly what I was doing to start off, there was no threat there really, and they just looked after them like a wee mummy figure, and it was no threat at all. So they just got on with it and enjoyed it as well.
Everyone got on with
Everyone
everyone.
got on, yeah.
Fantastic. And now, fostering obviously very rewarding, and as you say, your husband was on board with it, your children was on board with it, you're obviously on board with it, but there must have been times where it wasn't easy.
There are times, you know, some of the children came in, wee toddlers in particular, and maybe I had a child their own age, and they did clash a few times, and there was on a few occasions we thought, well, this child isn't going to fit in here, what do we do? But with the trust, they give you an awful lot of support, an awful lot of training, and it covers most of the situations you're going to come across. There's always someone there at the end of the phone. Obviously, if a child comes in, it is a wee bit difficult. You don't want to give up at the first hurdle, but you do have to think of your own children as well. They are a priority, obviously. We sort of, if there is a problem, you can lift the phone, get some advice, and you know, take it from there. And we have been very, very lucky. We have had an awful lot of support from the trust, and through their advice, we have been able to cope with most of the children that we have looked after.
And then some of the children that you've looked after are from other countries as well.
Yes, we've had children from Africa, from Russia, and they're great. You know, they just
And they get along with everyone else in the family.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Yes.
fit in.
They fit in, yeah.
Perfect. And then not only do you take on toddlers and people that are elder than toddlers, and they're 10, 11, 12, but you also take on foster babies.
That's correct. Yes.
How is that?
The babies, I must say, I have a wee soft spot for. I just enjoy the whole thing about fostering, no matter what age group, because obviously my children are all steps and stairs, and there's somebody there for every age group, and they all get on immensely well.
So one of the most rewarding things about fostering, and this goes for anyone who has children, one of the most rewarding things must be to see your child do well in life. And you have seen, for example, your first child that you cared for, who's Tara, who's now 22, is a qualified personal trainer in London. How does it make you feel watching the progress of a child that you've taken on to see where they are now?
Oh, it was delightful. I mean, to see them coming in and not having a stability and growing with confidence and calling you mum, you know, and feeling comfortable with you and able to just fit in with the rest of your family, and then work so hard at school, because obviously these children have a different name from your name, and you could have children at the same school as them, and questions do come up. Why are you living with the McCarrickers and your name's not McCarricker? And that's an awful lot for a child to cope with.
How do you deal with questions like that?
You know, when they come home to me and say, what do I say? You have done nothing wrong. You are proud of who you are. The people who you're speaking to, if they don't want you as a friend because you're foster, because some people do have this thing about, you know, if a child's in care, they're a bad child. You know, and you do get people like that.
But that's not the case.
But that's definitely not the case. Children are in care for many, many reasons. And Tara was confident enough to go in and stand her ground. And the friends that she made accepted her for who she was. The other ones she just got rid of. And she progressed well through school and went on to uni. And as I say, now she's fully qualified personal trainer. I was so proud watching her walking out of the airport onto the plane to do this all by herself. I was so proud, and I thought, well, there's a reward in itself.
It'll be one of those moments that you'll never forget.
Definitely, yes.
So, I mean, Tara, you're obviously still very much in touch with her. Do you keep in touch with all your children, all your foster children?
It depends really on the circumstances. Some of the children will go off to adoption, and some adoptive parents would keep in touch with you. But some of them want to just get on with it, which is understandably enough. They want to forget the foster care end of it. But we have 2 children who we keep constantly in touch with, and we would visit on Christmas with presents, Easter, different occasions. If they're having something like a Holy Communion or a confirmation or something, we've been invited to that. And we have made some great friends through the 3 children we have put through for adoption, who would come out and socialise with us in our house, go for barbecues in the summer, and vice versa. We would go to their house. So we've made a lot of friends as well.
So they're forever in your life.
They're forever in your life, yeah.
Fantastic. So one of the things about fostering that a lot of people believe is that obviously it's one of the most rewarding things that any human could do for a child. But the most difficult part comes whenever they leave your care.
Yes, that can be very, very hard, especially if you've had them for a number of years. But as I say, you know, you do get training on letting go. You do, but your heartstrings are always.
Is
it's
that
not
hard
easy.
for you?
It's never easy, no matter how many times you do it. It's always hard. You do always shed a tear, and it does always take a while to get over that. And you never forget those children, and you still have them up on your wall. You still have them on your mantelpiece and photos. And you do usually get feedback, you know, within the circle of social workers visiting them and stuff. So you do get some feedback, and they all usually do very well.
Does it ever stop you from fostering more, that heartache that you have to go through every time you say goodbye?
No, because the rewards that you get from them, the love that you get from them, you don't ever want to lose that. So you just go for more of that. And I thrive on that.
But it must have been hard the first time.
The first time was horrible, yes, it really was. But it doesn't get any easier as the years go on. Even after 20 years, it's still... But it's something you want to do, it's something you commit to do, so you just get on with it.
You have to. So you're obviously hugely inspirational to not only any foster parent, but anybody who wishes to get into fostering. And you have also inspired within your own family with your daughter Nicola.
That's correct. Nicola is foster care as well, just recently within the last 2 or 3 years.
Do you think this was because of Mummy?
I think it was, yes. She enjoyed it, so obviously it had a good impact on her. It didn't put her off, so she's happy going through the whole process as well.
Yeah, and it must be very rewarding for you as well to see her now fostering.
Oh yes, and it's great too because she has a wee family unit and we have one of the brothers that she has, so it means it's extra contact for them as a wee family unit coming up and down to each other's houses.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And Nicola, the daughter we were just speaking about, Nicola was the one that nominated you
She was
for
indeed.
Foster Care of the Year 2014.
She was indeed.
How did that feel, winning that?
She didn't even tell me that she'd done it until a couple of weeks, well, until actually I was called for an interview to be passed as Foster Care of the Year, and I thought to myself, who did this? Oh, it was me, Mum.
Yeah.
So I was delighted that she thought to do that. I was
And
very
when you
happy.
found out that you were the winner, how did that feel?
Oh, unbelievable, because I mean everybody's the winner who fosters, and there's so many foster carers out there. Never for a second did I think I would have won it, no.
Even with over 50?
Even with over 50.
Over
Well,
50
there are
in
other
20
people
years.
too have done
Yes.
the same, and
Even
better
if you take
probably
one on
too,
board,
you know.
you're still making a difference in a
This is
child's
it,
life.
yeah.
You really are. So obviously you've won the award. Am I right in saying you've won it in May?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Will you continue now, even though you've won the award?
Oh, certainly, I'll go on until they stop using it or stop wanting me, certainly, or as long as I'm fit to do it, I will continue, yes.
No stopping you.
No stopping me.
So thinking back at your life of fostering and all the rewards and the challenges that you faced, would you do it all over again?
I would indeed, I wouldn't hesitate. And I would say, this time of the year is a good year to promote fostering, to promote fostering, because it is graduation for preschool children. They're ready now to go into P1, and I'm sure a lot of people will be in the position I was in then, when their youngest wee one's toddling off to primary school. They're going to have some time on their hands, so I would say to them, if they're watching this, to start, if they think they can do it, to get some information over the summer and see how they feel when their child goes into P1, and maybe they will have a wee space there and a wee bit of free time, and whatever they learn through the summer, they will encourage them to go ahead.
Because you don't have to actually do it. All you
don't
have to do is
do it.
inquire
That's
about it and get
correct,
support
yeah.
and information
And
about
I mean, you
it.
don't have to take a child on long term. There are plenty of children who need just a wee bit of respite, and you could try that and see how that works for you and take it from there.
And you would advise anybody to do it that has a home and has their children, you would advise anybody to do it?
Definitely, the rewards, I couldn't put into words the rewards.
And you actually sent me a wee email last night, which I'm going to read out if that's okay with you.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely wonderful, wonderful email. Margaret said that after 20 years of fostering, I feel very privileged to have had the pleasure of meeting and supporting so many brilliant young people. All the babies and young people leave a special little footprint in our hearts, each with their own individual little memories of things they have said and done. Although some we don't see anymore, we do from time to time receive updates, and they are all doing well. We are so happy to have helped them on their road through life. Some we do see 2 or 3 times a year and will stay in our lives forever. The love we have received over the years cannot be measured. I would not hesitate to do it all over again. If anyone loves a busy house and children and has room in their home, I would ask them to seriously think of fostering. They will not always find it easy, but will have loads of support and training to help them succeed.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
You're an incredible woman, Margaret, and thank you very much for coming in to sharing your story
Thank
today.
you.
And that ends our programme for today, and I would like to a huge thank you to Margaret and all my guests today who were on today's show. And don't forget to tune in next week on Destination Insight right here, Friday 7 p.m. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.